Hey guys, welcome back. As you can tell, we are not in my usual filming space right now with like the green screen. I am traveling right now, so we're making do in this little sound booth. Though I guess if you're listening on like Spotify or Apple Podcasts or something, you would definitely not notice a difference. So that disclaimer is just for the YouTube girlies. But I am super stoked to share with you episode 2 of The Bathroom Break with Miss Jessy Jess, or Jessica Rose Clark. You may recognize her from the UFC, where she competed as a bantamweight. She also transitioned to Muay Thai. She has a couple of Australian titles. She has a Muay Thai world title, and she also may be doing some boxing in the future. Jessie's someone that I've been wanting to sit down with for a while. She is so nice, has such an interesting story. I'm really excited for you guys to listen to this one or watch if you're on YouTube. She is so accomplished and has such a great mindset around everything. And listen, I hate long intros, so I'm going to keep this short, but we go over everything from what was it like growing up with like 7 siblings living in a car in Australia to becoming a pro fighter and moving to the US, her entire story. What is it like being a woman in the MMA space, specifically the UFC space, the different promotions, how she is transitioning from MMA to Muay Thai and possibly boxing in the future, advice if you're an up-and-coming fighter, what the financial side looks like. We go over a ton of different topics. It is such a great listen. Okay, that was it. Enjoy the interview.
Excited to sit down with you.
Yeah.
So I always do like a fair bit of stalking of my people, but before I interview them, and there was actually not that much about you online that I could find.
I feel like every article there is about me pretty much says the exact same thing, which is like the little.
Do you not do that many interviews? Or?
No, I'm very like against. There's like you're actually the first person that I would have talked to outside of like my main 2, which is Drake Riggs and Ariel Helwani. They're usually the only people that I will talk to.
Oh wow, is there a reason for that?
Because I got tired of answering the same questions over and over again, and like while I appreciate that, especially people just getting into the MMA interviewing world for the first time, they haven't really developed their own style of questioning yet, so everyone tends to ask the same thing. But also, they're like, someone once said to me many years ago, you want to be like Louis Vuitton, not like McDonald's. So you want to be like a little more exclusive, not just everywhere, even though. And then there's also the Kim Kardashian thing of like, I wouldn't put a bumper sticker on a Lamborghini. And I'm like, I'm
so glad we made the catch.
But it's because you're a chick. There's like not many, like if there were more female, I would do more with women.
There's so few.
Yeah.
And I feel like most interviews, too, are on Zoom, which I personally just don't like very much. I feel like you can't, there's like no energy exchange on Zoom. And it's like a 15-minute interview. How's your fight? How's the weight cut?
How you feeling? What's happening?
Exactly. You want to fight next?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's just, you can get them on your channel, but what is really
I agree.
Value?
And that's why, like, I love Drake because he's like my friend. So we talk about just random shit. And then Ariel's awesome. Like, he's an amazing interviewer, So I like how they both do it because I know them both. So it's a little more conversational. It's less like they don't ask the same things like, oh, how are you feeling? What's your opponent like? Fuck, like, shut up.
Totally.
Yeah.
So how are you feeling for your next fight?
Yeah, great. Thank you.
The one interesting thing from your Wikipedia that popped up is that you have 9 siblings? 8 siblings?
There's 8 of us.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, there's 8 of us by blood. I think collectively there's 17. So I have a bunch of half brothers and sisters, and then they each have brothers and sisters on their other parents' side. So total there's 17. I don't know all of them. I've met most of them.
Yeah.
But I don't know all of them.
That's a huge ass family. How was that like growing up?
Well, honestly, my family is super disconnected. So I grew up with my mom mostly. My mom had 6 kids. So me and my 5 siblings on my mom's side, we spent a lot of time together. But I also moved out before I was 16. And so then even my youngest brothers, I didn't spend a whole lot of time with, And then my dad has kids on his side where I haven't spent a whole lot of time with them either. I've also been on my own since I was a kid. So I have a really big family, but we're not close. Like, I'm close to my mom and then one of my sisters, and that's about it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask it. It sounds like you had to be self-sufficient really young.
Oh yeah. Like my mom sent me to live with my grandma when I was 10, and then I think I lived back with my mom and the kids from like 13 to 16, and then I've been on my own since I was 16.
Wow,
I just bounce.
That's crazy.
I'm out. Yeah.
So when did you start martial arts? Before or after 16?
I didn't start till I was 21.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I was a fully grown adult when
that is much later than I
started
expected.
training. Yeah. I did 3 karate classes in school. That was it.
Yeah.
And I hated it.
Why? What made you start?
So I was dating a guy who was a kickboxer. He he had like 2 amateur fights, and then that was his like glory forever, right? That was his claim to fame. But he and I used to go lift weights together, and I saw this like article in the paper, and it was this chick who was my size who just won an Australian title for powerlifting, and I was like, fuck her, I could beat, like, my weights are better than that. I'm gonna go and do this, because I'm very competitive. I didn't even know her. I just wanted to win. I had to lose a bit of weight. And he was like, oh, why don't you come to my kickboxing gym? And he barely went to, like, my kickboxing gym. He never went there. But he was like, why don't you come to my kickboxing gym? Like, you'll lose weight really quickly. And I went there, and it was called the Dog Factory, and it was top level above a strip club. And it was where I lived, was super hot and tropical. So the gym, or you'd have to have all the windows open because there was no air in there. So you have all the windows open, there'd be pigeons flying in and out. It was hot, and it smelled like a strip club and sweat. But I loved it. Like, I remember the first leg kick I threw, and I was like, fuck, like, this is it. And then I did it. I don't think I lifted weights for like 4 years after that.
Did that boyfriend hate that you were better than kickboxing than him after a while?
I mean, he sucked. I don't know.
Yeah.
He was a terrible human being. I actually don't know. When we broke up, I kept the gym. He wasn't welcome there because he wasn't, from day one, I was way more committed than he ever was. I think my coach, his name was Ben. Ben could see that I really was invested in it, and he knew that Jay wasn't. Like, Jay was just doing it so that he could be cool for his friends.
So you started fighting amateur, right?
No, I fought pro straight away.
You fought pro straight away?
Yeah, so we didn't have...
See, I did shitty research on you.
Oh, no, that's okay.
There's not much online.
I've seen articles where it says that I started amateur, but we didn't have an amateur scene in Australia. So I had 2 kickboxing fights, and then I went to MMA, and that was all pro immediately.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you, at that point, were you thinking about pursuing a career, or were you just like, fuck this, these are the only fights I can get right now?
From day one, like, I knew that I was committed. Like, I quit drinking, I quit doing drugs. Like, I was a bad alcoholic. I ran a nightclub, so I would take a lot of drugs every night because I would get them for free all the time. And probably like about a year into training, then I was like, okay, I need to make some changes. I think I got done for drink driving as well and lost my license. So that was a big part of it, because I lived with my coach and his wife, but we lived like a 25-minute drive from the city. So then I was having to ride a bicycle into the city every day. I was like, what am I doing? That was kind of like when I decided that I already was committed, but I wasn't like committed.
Right.
And then when that happened and I realized how much I was partying and how detrimental it was, then I was like, okay, I want to pursue this as a full-time thing. And then I ended up moving to Sydney, I think in 2012. So I had my first fight at the end of 2011, and I moved to Sydney 4 or 5 months after that, beginning of 2012. And that was me going to commit wholeheartedly, because I didn't know anyone in Sydney. I just knew that for kickboxing and MMA, that was where there was just more opportunities down there. And I met this like American fighter, this American MMA fighter, had come and done a seminar at my gym where I started fighting, which was Townsville, which was way up north. And he was living in Sydney and training and working at this one gym. And he'd been saying like, hey, I have a spare room. It wasn't a spare room. It was a hallway. So I lived in,
he get the closet.
Yeah, legit. But he was like, I have a place for you to stay. Like, you can get a job at this gym. You should come down. So I was like, okay, fuck it. And I sold everything. And I left, and I lived in his hallway. It literally was a hallway between the living room and the kitchen. And I just had like a rollout mattress, and I lived there. But it was like a 10-minute walk to the gym that he worked at. And so they gave me a job. And then through that, I like randomly met this other boxing instructor who was in Bondi, and he worked out of a gym in Bondi, and he was like, come through, like, there's really amazing coaches, blah, blah, blah. Because I was like working at this first gym, but I wasn't really getting any like real training, because it was still so new, and MMA was really new, and they had no like legitimate qualified coaches or instructors there. So it was just kind of like a way for me to find a place to settle in Sydney. And so I ended up going to the other gym in Bondi, and that's still my gym now when I go home. It's called Ego MMA, and I had a second kickboxing fight, and then my first MMA fight was out of there, and then I like would move back and forward between Ego MMA in Sydney, and then another, like I'd go to another state or train out there for a while, but I always came back Sydney to Ego MMA. And even now my coach there, it's Ego MMA and it's owned by two Eagles, Igor Breakenback and Igor Proporshikov.
Is that a common name in Australia? It must be.
No, because one's Austrian and one's Russian. Neither of them were born in Australia. They were both immigrated and just somehow met each other and opened.
It was meant to be.
Yeah. And goes Igor Breakenback. So it was little Igor and big Igor. Igor Breakenback. His actual name is Igor Smiljevich. I don't know how to say it probably, but his like stage name is Igor Breakenback because he also is an actor. He's a stunt coordinator. He does stunts for movies. He's like worked with Chris Hemsworth. He's done a bunch of stuff with GSP, with Jean-Claude Van Damme, like a ton of very, very established, especially like combat within movies. But he also is a Taekwondo black belt, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Japanese Jiu-Jitsu black belt. I think Kyokushin karate black belt. Like he has multiple black belts, and his base was striking. And then Igor Proporshikov, I can't remember if he went to the Olympics or World Games for freestyle wrestling. So then he was the wrestler. So they got together and opened up this gym in Sydney, like randomly. I have no idea how they met. They just like found each other, and they still run it today. So that it's like 13 years later. But yeah, like they gave me a home, and I just always bounced back and forth. Like I'd leave for 2 years, and then I'd come back, and then that's where I was before I moved to the US, was there. And even now, Igor Breakenback, he's still, like when I was in the UFC, he would still give me opponent breakdowns, even though I'd left years ago. He'd write to me, give me feedback and stuff like that. He always, every supporter shirt I put out, he always buys a shirt, and he like posts all my stuff. So it's cool. He's like, that place is my home.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
And you said fighting helped you get out of, like drinking and that sort of thing. I mean, alcoholism definitely runs in my family for sure. And it's always, from what I've seen in my family, it's way better if you have something that you love more.
For sure. That's what I say to people who talk to me about sobriety, because I went completely sober 7 years ago.
Right.
Because like I went sober for about a year, and then I started drinking again. When I moved to the US, I was bad. Like I fucked up the beginning of my UFC career because of my drinking. 2018, I went sober completely. But I always say that when people ask me about sobriety, or when they say like I'm struggling and I need help, and that's what I always say is like, you got to make your goal stronger than the desire to drink. Like your reason to not drink has to be more important than your reason to drink.
It can't be like I want to drink versus I don't want to drink.
Because
that one drink's always going to win.
Exactly.
It has to be I want to drink or I want to win this fight.
Yeah.
So it's cool that you were able to have a thing to propel you forward in that.
Yeah, lucky. I don't know what I'd be doing.
And you said you've been 7 years?
7 years in July. Yeah, 7 years in July.
Wow, that's awesome. So you always knew you wanted to do it from a career. When was the point where you were like, okay, I can make this my career?
I think in terms of like a intention and mindset, day one. Absolutely. In terms of like financially being able to support myself while fighting was when I moved to the US. Now, not so much. I don't make any money in Muay Thai, but it's kind of like it ebbs and flows. Like I knew from the beginning that it was going to be my career, that was what I was going to dedicate myself to, because up until then, I never really committed to anything, like I'm a habitual trier. Like I'll go try something for a little bit, I'm bored of that. It was the only thing that I never got bored of. So I knew immediately that was what I was going to stick to. And I knew I was going to make it my career regardless. But it's been really hard. Like there isn't any money in it. Even when I was in the UFC, I was injured more than I was not injured. So I wasn't making any money anyway, because I couldn't fight, because I was always fucking injured, man. My intention was never to make money off it though. Like my reason for making it my career was because I loved it, and it fed every desire that I had, which was like structure, but still chaotic. It's exciting. You're always learning. It's physically taxing. It's It's emotionally taxing. It's mentally taxing. Just everything, because I get bored very quickly, and it was the only thing that I never got bored of.
Always challenge you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good that you didn't want to get into it for the money, because that's certainly...
There's no money. Like, you have to do it for love, and that's what I tell people all the time, because I coach fighters now, so I help run the amateur fight team at CSA, and whenever people talk to me about fighting and wanting to make a real go of it, or like I have these retirement talks with people all the time where they're like, oh, like if I can't get this fight, I think I'm gonna hang it up, or like I don't know if I want to keep doing this. And I always say, like, what's your reason for fighting? Because like you have to love it. It's too hard. It's too hard to be doing it for any reason other than love.
It doesn't give you anything.
Yeah, that's it. And I have some teammates who I'll watch them train and they just seem so fucking miserable all the time. And I'm always like, I don't say it to them because it's not my job to question what their reasons are, you know what I mean? But I think, like, why are you doing this? Like, you seem so unhappy all the time. And I just know the day that I stop enjoying training will be the day that I go, okay, like, it's time to move on to something else.
So on the making money topic, have you found a way to have a career at the same time? I know you work for Harley, which is fucking awesome. Is there anything else? You post a lot on social media, but I know that that's hard to actually generate money from. That's really difficult. But
when I was in the UFC, I was getting paid decently, like enough to survive. And like I had 1 or 2 years where I had my monster contract, and I fought 2 or 3 times. I wish I'd been way better with because I grew up in poverty, right? Like I spent a lot of years living in a car with my mum. And so I've never had money my whole life. And I think because of that, I think when you grow up in poverty, there's 2 ways you're going to go. Either you don't care about money and you don't have any respect for it, or you hold on to it when you have it. And I went the don't care and don't have any respect for it. I've always given a lot of my money away because I've always survived without it, like I've been negative in my accounts and still managed to feed myself and had a roof over my head and like figure out what I'm doing. So it's never really, I've never held on to it. Now I wish I'd held on to it a little bit more, but when I knew I was going to retire from the UFC, because there was a period, a couple of years where I was like, all right, I don't want to do this anymore. And I was just fighting out my contract. Where I did save a lot, and that's what I've been surviving on since I left the UFC. Because in Muay Thai, there's
no money.
There's nothing.
Yeah,
there's nothing. But the plan was always to go into pro boxing as well, and that's what we're gonna do in the summer. I've just been waiting to get, because I just applied for my green card, so I'll be waiting to get my work and my travel permits, and I just got my work permit, so now I can actually make money properly.
Oh, wow. Congrats. Yeah.
Thank you. And
that's awesome. That's a lot of paperwork.
Yeah. And it's expensive as well. A lot of time, a lot of proving that everything is legit, and then a lot of money. But the work permit just came through, which means I can actually start making money off fighting now. Because I don't have any savings left to survive on. So I'd already told Coach, I was like, hey man, I've got till March. Like, I've got to figure shit out. Once my travel permit comes through, I'll be getting offers for fights overseas in Muay Thai and in boxing, which will actually pay me money. I just had to wait for my travel papers to come through. I knew when I left the UFC, Coach and I sat down and we came up with a plan, and we had like a list of goals that I wanted to accomplish post UFC, because I wanted to retire at the end of 2020, I wanted to retire from MMA, and then I pushed it through to mid-2023. I held on a little longer than I should have, but whatever. When I did retire from MMA, we had a plan. I was like, I want Muay Thai World Championships, and I want to make some money in boxing. And so I won a world title in Muay Thai last year. I should have another one coming up in either May or June. So we've like hit that, like tick that off the list. Next goal is go in boxing, make some money that way. But he told me, it's like, it's going to take like a year or a year and a half of sacrifice, like grind. We're not going to make any money. There isn't any money to be made, but we're going to build your resume, develop a good record, turn you into a world champion. Is like, and then we're going to be able to ask for more. And so then that's kind of where we're in that space now, which is good. But I also teach a lot at the gym now as well. So that's how I pay my bills, is I teach a lot of classes.
Your approach to money it's very similar to my boyfriend Robinson's. He grew up similarly to you. And he it drives me fucking nuts. We don't have to do anything because he thinks that it always works out. And what kills me is it always does work out.
It does always work out, yeah.
And I'm over here like stressing and putting everything in different buckets and saving, and we always come to the exact same place in life. And I hate it. But I can respect it. You guys are much happier than I am.
I think it's important to have people with that mindset though as well. You know what I mean? Like I think as an adult now, I am lucky that I have people in my life who do keep me accountable with shit. And I go, I want to go buy a $2,000 exhaust for my bike, and they go, let's sell your old one first, or like let's do this first, and then at least it'll be half of that. You know, I do have people who kind of keep me in check because I am someone who's like, oh, I want that. Okay, I'm gonna go do that. I'm gonna go buy that, and then afterwards I go, fuck, would I do that?
Well, we can be the stressed out ones, so you can not have to think about it. Was there anything you bought, especially when you got your UFC contract, that was like, okay, this is my treat to myself?
Yeah, honestly. Like so honestly, and it might sound dumb, but there were two things that I bought that were like my first like way that I knew I'd made it was being able to go do my groceries at Whole Foods and not having to check my bank account. Like that, the day I could do that was a big fucking deal for me. I was like, oh, I don't have to check and make sure I can afford this. I just went to my groceries, and I was like, fuck, that feels really good, you know? But the two things I bought is I bought my first motorbike and bought it brand new. No one had ever ridden it. I was the only one to put miles on it. But that was the very first thing I ever bought for myself brand new, ever. In my entire life, every car I've ever owned has been secondhand. All the furniture has always been secondhand. All the clothes have always been secondhand. That was like the first thing, you know. And then the other thing was I bought furniture for my house. And so I still have, even though I've lived in a trailer here in California for 6 years now, and I've had all my stuff in storage, I have my dining set. And I've sold everything else, but that thing has been really hard to let go of.
Dude, they're expensive. Hold on to it. Yeah.
And but I don't know that I'll ever live in a house again, to be completely honest with you. So I'm like, I have no need for it. Yeah. But it is just because that was what that symbolized. Like I finally got to furnish my house with brand new stuff. And even my mum we'd never had brand new stuff. Yeah. Everything was always hand-me-down secondhand. So yeah, it's hard to let go of that. It's hard to let go of that dining set. And I'm probably going to have it till the day I die. And I won't even be in the US. I'll be like living in Italy or something and just have a storage unit here with a fucking dining set in it that I can't let go of.
That's sweet.
It's so dumb, dude.
No, keep it. I love that. One of the main things that I was really interested to talk to you about is, so I think if you're a woman, especially in the UFC, if you're attractive at all, like, you're just going to be sexualized, right? Whether you want to or not.
And you slept your way into your job.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. And certainly there are fighters who use that to their advantage because they're like, fuck, I might as well make money off of it, you know, which is fair. But it doesn't matter what you do. Like, you've always seemed to me very, like, just normal. But there's still, like, when I go online and search you up, there's
people are still super weird. Yeah. I know. But I don't even think you have to be an attractive woman for people to be gross.
I think that's true. Honestly? I think you're also hot. So I think there's both things to be true. By the way, I can't believe you're 37.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
I thought you were my age.
How old are you?
I'm 28.
Okay, I'll take that. Yeah. You don't look 28 either. So I was like 24. I don't think I look 24.
I'll take that. I guess I'm wondering how that was, if you expected that to happen. How was it dealing with that?
Honestly, I've had that my whole life. Like, I had massive boobs when I was like 12, you know? So I feel like my entire teenage and adult life, I've experienced that. I have nothing against people who do use it to their advantage. I just never felt the need to, you know what I mean? I definitely know I get certain opportunities because I am a cute woman, you know? But I also know that I keep opportunities because of my personality and how hard I work. So I don't mind if doors open because of the way I look, because I know that my work ethic and my personality are what are going to keep me there. So I don't know. I think it's only a negative. I think anything's only a negative if you want it to be.
We were talking earlier about like creepy DMs you get from guys. Has that skyrocketed? I mean, I'm sure it has since you started fighting, especially in the UFC.
I definitely when I got the UFC, but also for some reason, and I'm really grateful for this, there was like something I was doing to handle him that nixed him. Like I really don't get.
Really?
I don't, like I used to get a lot of, like I used to get dick pics and really sexual ones. And then I think because I started reposting them on my story and calling people
the pictures?
Not the picture, but like the what they would say and who it was. I would also tag him and I would let other people see who it was. I stopped getting those messages. People are always going to be gross, but I feel like they're more gross if there's no repercussions or if they're not held accountable. And a cool way to hold them accountable is to make sure everyone knows the gross shit that they say.
Have you ever felt any resentment? Because like you said before, a lot of times people would just be like, she just slept with someone to get where she was. You're obviously very talented. Like, is that something that you're a little resentful about ever? Or is it just like whatever, they're stupid, that people don't give you the credit?
Honestly, like I have the life that I had always dreamed of, you know, like I live in a bus with my dogs. I'm in California. I get to shoot guns. I ride a motorbike. I fight people all the time. Like my circle of friends are fucking rad. Like honestly, my life is so sick that I don't ever care what people say. And I haven't ever really cared what people say. Unless you're my friend and like I love you, I don't really care what the opinion is, especially not people on social media that I don't even know. Like if you're not feeding my animals and keeping a roof over our head, you have zero impact on my life at all. And I try to help. I try to like encourage other people to have that same mindset, because a few of my friends, especially my female friends, they are always trying to like I guess find their place or find some sort of acceptance or validity, or like they want people to say like, yeah, you're really doing this. And I always say like, if they're not paying your rent or feeding you,
who cares?
It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't matter. They only have impact if you let them have impact.
Yeah. So no press bothers you. I remember a while back, I think Sean O'Malley was saying some stuff. He had a crush or something, and
Sean got his face tattooed because of me.
I was gonna say, did he ever hit you up or DM you? Or you
no,
you don't have to tell me.
Before Sean got into the UFC, we were friends, right? So I think when he did the fuck is it called? Contenders. He did Contenders. So right when he had his fight on Contenders, that was when he and I met, because we had the same manager at that point, and we met and in Vegas, and we hung out a little bit, like because he lived in Arizona with his missus, and he was in Vegas for like a week to do promo or some shit. And so then I like took him downtown and just showed him downtown Fremont and stuff like that. And he was like, man, I love your face tattoos. And then literally like a month later turns up with a face tattoo. But I am glad he did do an interview with Monster and gave me credit.
There you
for
go.
that. And he was like, I did that because of Jessy Jess, you know. But Sean and I have always been cool. He's never hit on me, nothing like that. Like, but I also don't think I give off that vibe either. Like I'm friendly, but I'm not flirty, and I don't really experience people hitting on me that much because I don't think that my energy welcomes it, if that makes sense. So I feel like more often than not, I get treated with respect or like just a human being, not as a cute chick who fights.
I don't get that vibe from you at all.
Oh, good. People are going to treat you the way you let them treat you, and I don't let people sexualize me. Like, yeah, I'm very black and white with the way I speak, and I hold myself to a certain standard. Even I don't look like I do, but I do hold myself.
Your tattoos are sick. What age did you start getting them, by the way?
My mom taught me to get my first one when I was 18, but all of these have been since I moved to the US.
Really?
I moved here with, I had one on each arm, and I had like one on my leg, one on my foot, and the one on my hip. But I had my knuckles and my face done. I didn't have any of these. I didn't have any of this. All this, like, because I got my hands and my face done really early in my career, because my ex-fiance had his full face tattoo. He was tattooed head to toe. So then I think because that was a person that I was with every day that I loved, I was like, oh, getting your face tattoos, no big deal, you know? Like, and then I moved over here and realized that not everyone has that. So then I ended up then I started filling everything in.
Because I feel a while back it was supposed to be that fingers and face and neck are kind of the last places if you want to get tattoos. So you're like, fuck that.
Yeah, but that's the thing, because of the person that I was around every day, like nothing was taboo. Like it wasn't because I knew I was going to fight full time. So I was like, I don't need to be presentable. Like, I'm
Totally.
doing what I want to do. And now, as I'm coming to the end of my fight career and I'm starting to look at what my options are, I'm like, fuck, like maybe get my hands on my face tattoo wasn't the best idea. But honestly, I love my face tattoos. Like, I'll cover them up with makeup if I have to, but
It's not hard to cover up. I can imagine they're so little.
Yeah. And I've been thinking about getting tattoo removal on my fingers. I love my hands. I'll keep them, but I'm thinking about cleaning up my fingers because they just look a little dirty. Like, I just don't like them, you know?
Yeah. Have you given any thought to what you want to do after?
Yeah, so I just joined Alameda County Search and Rescue. So I'm volunteering with them. I start with them in May. And then next year I want to go into firefighting. But like 2.5 years-ish left of fighting, provided my body holds up, because then I'll be 40. So that's kind of like, unless I'm like killing it and making a ton of money and feel really good, that's probably going to be my cutoff. But the goal is to go to apply for firefighting after that. And so over the next 2.5 years, I'm just going to educate myself and do as much training as I can so that my resume, because I am going to be an older applicant, which I know some departments, they want people with life experience, but then some departments also want to know they're going to get 40 years out of you, you know? So I'll kind of be at that in between. I think that my combat sports experience will give a lot of credit in my resume, because like it shows discipline, motivation, you know, ability to handle yourself in chaotic environments, all these different things that a firefighter needs to have. But I'm also doing the search and rescue. I'm going to do my EMT training next year. I'm going to get my GED, like, and self-fund a lot of courses at the fire academy as well. So that's kind of, one of my best friends is a firefighter here. And so he's like given me a blueprint. So like, this is, because he used to fight, he's a multiple times world champion as well, then went into firefighting. And he's like, I think this is your path. Like, let's just start ticking these things off. And if that doesn't work, then I'll probably get my hand tattoos removed and my face tattoos removed, and I'll go into law enforcement. I want to be a first responder. I know that 100%. I want to be a first responder. Just what avenue that is going to depend on firefighters avenue A. If that doesn't work out, then
It's such a similar career path to fighting, because you get that adrenaline.
Yeah. You have to be able to control your emotions in high stress situations and in chaos. Plus, you like have to keep a certain level of physical fitness, whereas as a cop, you don't necessarily have to. As a firefighter, you have to. But then, because I work with Sheepdog Response, which is Tim Kennedy's company, teaching self-defense and basic handgun shooting, I would also like to do more tactical stuff, which I was like thinking about going into law enforcement as well, because I'd be able to, I'd get my concealed carry license through that. I'd be able to shoot a lot. But I could always still just do that on the side. I can keep working with Sheepdog Response even as a firefighter, you know?
My twin brother's a firefighter. And
really?
He's done the whole, he's done an academy in California, and then he moved to Boise and did the whole academy again in Boise. I think you will be fine. Yeah. He said in his last course, there was a woman who was about 44.
Okay.
Had kids, divorced, like not an athlete.
Yeah.
And she ended up making it through.
Yeah, nice.
I think you'll be all right. Yeah. It sounds like so long as you can hit the physical, like, you know, you can carry someone if you need to, which I don't have any doubt that you'll be able to.
And there's a couple of departments here because, excuse me, I love it here in the Bay. There's a couple of departments here where they have hand and face tattoos as well. So that's kind of what I'm going to lean towards, is see if I can get into one of those departments where they don't have any restrictions on it. If I had to remove them in order to like have my next career, I would. I just don't. It's not preferable.
I can kind of see for a cop, right? Because you're interacting with the public. But firefighter, if you're rescuing someone from a burning building, they really going to care? Like, I don't know.
Face tattoos. I know that, and that's the argument always. But there are still some departments that don't want any visible tattoos, which is fine. Thankfully, there are departments that do allow visible tattoos.
Well, I'm excited for you. My brother is very similar in that he needs the adrenaline. Yeah. And he fucking loves it.
Yeah.
He loves going to work every day. I think it would be a really good fit for you.
I agree. And that's what my best friend, his name's Kai. I lived with him for like a year. And so I would see him every day that he'd come back from work. He'd work 2 days on, have 4 days off, you know, and he also has pretty extreme ADHD. That on top of living the fighter lifestyle where you need chaos and you always need something to do. That's been a reason why I was like, okay, maybe this will work for me, because he and I are very similar, and I've seen how happy he is with his job and how much he enjoys and like how much camaraderie he has with the people in his department as well, which is really
like the gym.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, there's a lot of things I think once I retire from fighting, there's a lot of things about being a competitive athlete that I know I'm gonna miss, and I need to still feel that because I am an addict, and my biggest fear is that if I'm not continuing to better my life the way I have been, I'll slip back into old habits, and so I need, like, the idle mind is the devil's playground, and that's very true for me, and that's why I'm so busy all the time, because when I have daytime, unless I schedule myself a rest day, then I still have a job to do, which is the rest, but if I just have downtime, I get myself into trouble. I spend money on online shop, like, thankfully my vices are nowhere near what they used to be, but I still don't have any money coming in, I don't need to buy 7 pairs of the same pair of pants.
I feel like most people I talk to, the natural transition is, okay, hang up my gloves, fuck what do I do? I'm just going to be a coach, right? I love that you are just saying, like, it's still about me. I want the adrenaline. And the fact that you're finding a different avenue from that is really cool.
I'll still teach. Like, still coach. I love to teach, and I've fought it for so long because for the last few years, I've only taught Monday nights. And coach would always be like, do you want to teach more classes? Nah, fuck that. I don't want to coach, I keep my one Monday night because I very rarely travel on a Monday. So I have to be here consistently, but it's not so much commitment that I start to panic because I'm a commitment phobe. And finally, I think in the last month, he finally got me to commit to a 4 week of teaching. Now I teach every night and I enjoy it.
Every single night.
Yeah, either full class or introduction, but I still don't want my own gym. I don't want to be a full-time coach. I have zero desire to do that.
It's emotionally exhausting too.
And I see the shit that people put my coach through, and I go, he's a giver. I love helping people, but like not at the sacrifice of my own emotional and mental well-being.
Because it is to be a good coach.
Yeah.
You have to put so much in emotionally, 24/7 for so many different fighters.
Where I've put him through so much shit on my own, let alone like he also handles tens of other fighters, you know what I mean? And I think I'm one of the easy ones, and I still put him through the ringer. So I have no desire to. I will be his like right hand.
Yeah,
forever till the day he
I'll
goes.
corner the fight. I see you all the time at PKBs, which is awesome.
Why? Because I run the amateur team, so all the PKBs I'm the coach for that. Unless like sometimes he'll come, because he wants to show face and like make sure that they get to experience him cornering him as well. But for the most part, it's me. And then the last 2 weekends, I just cornered with him in 2 amateur title fights. So like I help him a lot and I travel with him a lot so that, because I can wrap hands, like I can warm people up so that he doesn't have to, it's not all on him. I'm happy to be that guy. I don't want to be the guy. I'm happy to be the second guy.
I feel like people who are true coaches are just a different breed. I told you I was talking to John at Syndicate last week, and he was telling me how he knew he wanted to be a coach from like 24, which that's just a different type of people, I think, than a lot of fighters.
You have to sacrifice a lot, and you have to sacrifice in a different way. You know, like I was actually with John for the first 2 years of my career here in the US.
Oh wow,
yeah. And and you can tell that he is supposed to be a coach, and that's what I feel like. There's a lot of fighters who say they want to teach and say they want to coach, but they're not good at it. It takes a very same as it takes a certain personality to fight, it takes a certain personality to coach because you have to give.
Right.
Fighting is very selfish. Coaching is very selfless. You have to give and give and give. And I personally, I'm selfless in a lot of ways, but not to that level, not to that extent.
All right, guys, this show is sponsored by the best sportsbook in the game, MyBookie. Look, I love watching fights, right? Yes, obviously. But my absolute favorite way to kind of up the ante a little bit, make things a little bit more exciting, and I talk about this all the time on my channel, by the way, is adding a little wager. All right, little bit of backstory. I started my combat sports journey in Muay Thai. And in Thailand, you can't have Muay Thai without sports betting. They're hand in hand. And I have so many fond memories of betting on a fight with my Thai trainer or with random people sitting next to me at a show. When I tell you it is an instant way to make friends and raise the stakes a little bit in a fight. MyBookie gives you the modern 21st century version of this. Other than getting into the ring yourself, this is the next best way to feel like you have a real personal stake in the fight. And whether you're competing with your friends or placing your bets solo, MyBookie is the place to do it. And on a personal note, I love MyBookie, okay? They have been so supportive of this project, so great to work with. And I really can't say that about every brand. Right now, you can get a 50% bonus on a deposit up to $1,000 with promo code Kennedy. That is KENNEDY. So if you want to support the show, maybe make some bonus money on the side, this is the place to do that. All right, back to our show.
So you were in Vegas for the first stint then in the U.S.?
Yeah, like 2.5 years, I think. Two and a half years, yeah.
That's the capital. Why'd you move?
Because I wanted to be with my coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I left Syndicate. I think I was with Syndicate for 2 years. My first 3 UFC fights were with John. And then after that, after that was when I went sober. And I just went through a massive transition. And I'd known about Coach Kieran and Combat Sports Academy since 2012, since sitting on the floor at Eagle MMA, watching videos on Facebook. And I remember seeing Kevin Ross, Gina Carano, and Coach Kieran. And I remember sitting there going, that's where I want to train. Like, that's where I want to be, because I loved Muay Thai, I loved kickboxing, and they were a Muay Thai gym. And Coach Kieran is one of, if not the best Muay Thai coach in the US, is world-renowned as one of the best Muay Thai coaches. And so I knew that's where I wanted to go. When I moved to the US originally, that was where I was going to be, and I just financially wasn't able to. Like, I moved with $200 in a bag of training clothes, you know, and John Wood helped me a lot when I first moved to the US, because I'd met him. So I fought for Victor in Vegas in 2015. I moved in 2016, and when I was there for Invicta the year before, I trained at Syndicate during that week, and I met John. And so then when I moved out here, that was the only person that I kind of knew. And so I went to Syndicate.
Right.
And he helped me immensely. Like, he let me, I set up a little coffee stand inside Syndicate, and I would be there first thing in the morning before the morning classes, and I would sell coffee, and he would let me keep everything so I could feed myself. So he was like, John was super integral in me even being able to survive in this country, you know? And then when I went sober, and I just had a lot of stuff going on, and like, obviously going sober, a lot of shit came up. I had to do a lot of therapy, and it was just a really weird point in my life, and I felt like I needed to leave Vegas. And so then I came up here, I came to San Jose for a Bellator event, and I got taken to CSA. And I did pads with Kieran, and he, just the way he welcomed me and the things he said to me, I was like, I knew that this was where I wanted to be. And then finally getting the opportunity to step foot in that gym and to work with him, I knew wholeheartedly that was where I was supposed to be. And so I think for about a year, I'd left Syndicate. I was training casually at Couture's. Eric Nixon was super cool as well. Like, again, really welcoming, helped me a lot. But I would commute back and forth between
driving
with
right?
Eric. Yeah, either flying or driving.
It's a long drive. We did that last week.
Yeah, I've done it multiple times. I'm trying to do it on my bike now because it's a lot quicker. But I would just commute back and forth, and there was like this chick who had an Airbnb around the corner from the gym, so I would always go and stay at her place. But it was cost me like $1,500 every week that I would come up here.
Every week?
Yeah, between transport, accommodation, and food, because food here was way more expensive than it was back in Vegas. Vegas was way cheaper. So then finally I bought a trailer. I spent like the last of my money, bought a trailer, packed up my house, and went, fuck it, we're going, and then moved into an RV park, and I've just been here ever since, you know?
Yeah. I want to talk about, first off, I am interested why you said that you set a certain date that you wanted to retire from MMA. Why retire from MMA?
I hated it.
Oh,
I hated it. Honestly, no, I was just getting so injured all the time, and I was just so tired of getting injured. And so, like, in 2019, I tore 3 ligaments in my foot and fractured 5 of the bones, and then I was on crutches for 6 months. In 2020, I blew out my ACL. And after the ACL, once I came back from that, I was like, if I have one more injury, like, I'm out. But I wanted to retire before that. So the fight I blew up my ACL in was the end of 2020 where I fought Sarah Alpa. And before that fight, I just wasn't enjoying it anymore. Like it just felt like I was fighting to survive, you know, and that wasn't why I started this. And so it broke my heart that I was in that space. And again, it was like a year after going sober. It took me a long time after I went sober to really feel like I had dealt with a lot of the reasons why I was such a bad alcoholic in the first place, you know. So I was still kind of in that space where I was unhappy. Everything was coming up with my parents, with my ex, with like everything was coming up, you know.
It takes so much longer than you think it's going to.
7 years in, and there's still stuff that comes up. So like I was fresh. I was a year into sobriety, living in a different state, still by myself. Like before that Sarah fight, I'd been talking to Kiri and being like, fuck, like I don't know that I want to do this anymore. And I always wanted to go into Muay Thai. That was always the plan. From the day I started working with him, the plan was always, once I'm done with MMA, we're going to go into Muay Thai. I want to win a world title. So from day one, that was our plan. And then so before the Sarah Alpar fight, while I was getting ready for that fight, I just set myself a goal. And I was like, if I don't enjoy this fight, I'm done. That's it. And it ended up being the best performance I ever had, you know? And because of that, I was like, all right, I'll give it one more go. But I blew out my ACLs and I had surgery. But then they gave me a fucking good contract, like doubled my pay, you know? And I was like, all right, I'll give this. Like I enjoyed that. I'll give it another shot. I won my next fight against Jocelyn, and I hated that fight because all I did was wrestle. Like I won with wrestling, and I was like, that fight's fucking boring. Like it's some bullshit. Like I was just so disappointed in myself. But it was like I won every minute of every round, you know, like it was a very convincing, clear win, but I just wasn't happy with how I won. And then I should have been like, all right, like let's just let this go. But I just signed a brand new 4-fight deal.
It's hard to finally turn down, like once you're finally making money.
That's, yeah.
And that's have to turn that down.
That was a big part of it. And I just kept like telling myself, like, just push through. Like, it'll be okay. Just push through. Like you'll love this one day, you know? And I just did it. And then when I fought Julia, my arm got destroyed. I disappeared for like 6 months. Like if you ever talk to Coach, after that fight, that was July 2021. I dipped. Like I was out. No, July 2022. I just disappeared. I got on the road for 6 months. I took my dogs, got in the truck and just left because I just couldn't handle being here. I was so heartbroken, you know, because that fight, like, after I took that fight, it was one that I shouldn't have taken on paper because I'd been armbarred by Stephanie Egger in the fight before, and then Julia had all wins by armbar, was a jiu-jitsu black belt, and Coach was like, I don't think this is the right fight to take, and I was like, but it's International Fight Week, it's being headlined by Izzy and Alex Volkanovski, like, it's the first pay-per-view I've ever been able to fight. I was at T-Mobile Arena, like that was my home when I moved here. All my best friend still lives in Vegas. There was just so many arguments for. I was like, I get to fight on a card headlined by Aussies and Aussies and Kiwis. Like I haven't experienced that yet. And then it was my Nana's 100th birthday, so my mum's dad's mum, she was turning 100 right after that. And I'd already paid for all my family to go down to where my Nana was to celebrate her 100th, so that I was going to go there right after the fight, renew my visa, go see my family. I hadn't seen them in a couple of years. So there was like all these reasons why I wanted to fight, even though Coach was like, Coach knew like
didn't feel right.
It didn't feel right. And but I felt great. Kent felt great because I was like, I had so much I was looking forward to. And I went into that fight knowing I was either going to knock her out or I was going to get armbarred. I did not expect to tap and then have her break my arm. Definitely didn't expect that. So that threw me. That broke my heart because I did everything right. I did fucking everything right. Camp did everything right.
And you tapped.
I did tap. But yeah, but it was more just the knowledge that I can do everything right and it still doesn't go in my favor.
Yeah. Just from watching from the sidelines, because I mean, I've had a few PKBs or whatever, but I'm not a fighter, but my boyfriend is.
Yeah.
And, so we went to Thailand, did the fighting thing there, and they always prep you, I guess, like, oh, fighting's going to be hard. You're not going to have a lot of money, you're going to lose, and that's going to suck. You're not going to have time for your family or your girlfriend or whatever it is. But I didn't realize that the primary thing that sucks about fighting is injuries and injury management.
It's like
that's the bummer.
That was that was it. And I was like, nah, I'd say if I get injured again, I'm done. And then I had one fight left on my contract. And I took it, obviously. But even if I lost to Tanara. But I remember like that, even if I had a won and got offered a new contract, I would have turned it down. Because I was like, walking out for that fight, I was just waiting for it to be over. All camp, I was just waiting to be on the other side of that fight. Like, I knew I was done. I knew my time was done in MMA. My time was done with the UFC. There are a lot of things about the UFC that I did not like, and I was looking forward to leaving them. And then I remember being halfway through that fight. We legit were halfway through the second round, and I had her pressed up against the cage, and I like looked up at the clock and saw I was halfway through, and my only thought was, fuck, I got another round and a half of this. Like, I just wanted to be out of there, you know? And then so retiring after that was amazing. Such a beautiful feeling. And then when I came back here, and we committed to Muay Thai, it was like, I don't think I realized how heavy everything was until I finally was like, yes, I'm 100% done. I'm done with the UFC. I'm done with MMA. Like, I'm fucking done. And it was like all this cloud that was hanging over me that I didn't even realize was hanging over me was gone. And honestly, like, my life has been fucking so good since. And I still get injured all the time, but I'm getting injured doing something I genuinely love, and that's very different to getting injured from something that you also don't enjoy.
That's so fucking awesome, because I feel like most people, when they leave someplace like the UFC, it's very like, oh my God, am I making the right choice?
Yeah.
Like, people are fraught over it, or they have to go because they're too old or they're losing fights, and it just really sucks for them. For you to be able to leave and be like, that was the best choice I could have ever made, has to feel really good for yourself.
Does, and I've never once regretted it, you know? And I have people ask me all the time, like, oh, do you think you'll go back to MMA? Do you think you'll try to go back to the UFC? Because you see people get cut or their contract ends and they don't get renewed, and they're like, I'm going to make it back, I'm going to make it back. And I've never once had the thought like, yeah, I'm going to try to get back. Not at all. I will fight MMA again. I'm working on something right now, but it's like a bucket list thing. It's not a...
No, really.
I'm not going back to MMA. I'll do one MMA fight just for this one experience, and that's it. But I would never, even if they came knocking, I've zero desire. They'd have to offer me like $400,000 for me to even consider.
So you have a Muay Thai fight coming up.
Yeah.
Yes. And then before we get to that, I wanted to chat about boxing, because you said you wanted to go into boxing.
Oh, yeah.
And I saw a TikTok of yours a while back that I loved, because it's something that I get roasted for all the time, which is that I like Jake Paul's promotion.
I love Jake Paul. I think he's awesome.
I love what he's doing in the space.
Yeah.
And I get so much hate for it. But I just think the way he's promoting women.
Yeah.
I mean, we have women being the next headliners on the card. The money
he just gave
Alicia
Baumgartner a fat fucking contract.
Really?
Yeah, which is like he's providing opportunities of money in a way that no one else has
real
been
money
willing to do. Yes.
Yeah, to people who aren't just at the top of the card.
Yes, and he's also not just trying to make money off these people, you know, like he's making sure that they get what they're worth. I've been a fan of Jake Paul since he started fighting, right? Because he clearly trains really fucking hard. Like, he's not playing at it. Like, he said, I'm gonna do this, and he's committed wholeheartedly. And people are just mad at him because he's making more money than others who've dedicated their whole lives. Justified, right? I understand being upset about that. It does suck. Like, I've now dedicated 16 years to this, and I fucking can't pay my bills, you know? Like, that aspect sucks. But I'm not mad that someone else is successful. It's be angry at the people who aren't paying us. Like, don't be mad about the one who is like fighting for people to get paid what they're worth.
So he's headlining his own damn promotion. It's his promotion. Yeah. He's paying everyone else.
Dude, how many other promoters have done that? Like, so many. Any promoter that has ever fought has fucking headlined their own card.
Yeah, what do you expect? He's not going to be on the prelims for that one.
Yeah. No. I'm a fan. Like, I think he puts on a great event. I've been pushing to fight for him for a while. And I've had many, many conversations with him and with Nikisa about fighting for them. I just haven't been ready.
Oh, you've had
to do it. Yeah,
okay. I was gonna say we should clip what you were saying earlier. Yeah. Like, Jake Paul's so great. I love his
he knows. He knows. I first said something about wanting to fight for him on Hawani's show. And then Jake messaged me after that. It was like, hey, let me put you in touch with my head of boxing. And so then I had conversations with the head of boxing. Yeah, and we've talked about it. I was supposed to fight for them last year, and then we couldn't get our timelines to match up. And I also didn't want to until I had my work permit, because I want to. I'm going to fight boxing. Boxing is a lot more physically taxing, and there's a lot more at risk with boxing. I want to make sure that I can make what I'm worth. But I actually just had a call with my agent a couple of days ago and told him my timeline of what we're doing. And I'm like, all right, I'm ready. And he's like, cool, I'll get on the phone. And he's had conversations with a couple of different boxing promoters, including MVP. Yeah. And so
MVP.
Yeah, so that's the plan. That's the goal.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see that. But yeah, I
can't wait to do it.
Frustrated because there's clearly so much change we need to see in the industry.
Yeah.
Right? Whether it's like the way the UFC does pay-per-views, fighter benefits, all of these things. But people will get so hung up on this specific format that it comes in.
So dumb.
Where I don't think you care about fighters if you're that hung up.
Yeah. If you're that angry at him that you want to hate on everything that he does, you don't care about fighting. Like, I feel like the only people who hate on him are the ones who wish they were making that money or, like, having that level of promotion, or, like, hardcore, old-school boxing elitists who still are in the mindset of, like, no, like, we fight. Like, you just gotta go and fight, Like, we're, at the end of the day, like, we're athletes, but we're also, it's the entertainment industry.
It's always been entertainment.
That's it. Like, it's not just a sport. Like, getting wins doesn't always get you where you want to be. Like, you have to understand that we're entertainers as well. Probably even more so than actual athletes these days, which is okay. Like, everything evolves. You just got to be willing to evolve with it. I feel like the people who aren't willing to evolve with it are the ones that are hating on the ones that are being successful.
You're going to get left
with
behind.
the evolution.
Yeah. It's always been entertainment. And then I also see so many people who are just criticizing him as a fighter. And look, he's not Canelo right now, but Jake Paul's a good boxer.
He's also only had a handful of fights.
12 fights.
That's what I mean.
And normally in boxing, like, your first 11 fights, they just hand to you anyways.
Yeah.
Like, for where he's at.
Yeah, he's doing amazing.
And he's doing great.
That's it. And he's not saying no to anything that people, every single thing, he is very, very good at finding the loophole. Because everything people say, oh, you got to fight a real boxer. Okay, I'll fight Mike Tyson.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, which was so smart. And they're like, oh, you got to fight. They've also they've been calling for him to fight real boxers multiple times. And he has. He's fought real fucking boxers. Just one happened to be retired. One happened to be in his 50s. Like, he's still doing what everyone's asking him to do.
Totally.
Well, like, the thing is, like, everyone's like the fan favorites, they're like the real boxers. Every single one of them paid opponents in Mexico, right? Like, every single...
Your first 10 to 12 fights in boxing...
bullshit.
That is all that is.
Yeah.
You're padding your record.
Yeah.
He's probably fighting... Like, at least he's fighting on a world stage and getting all the criticism.
Yeah, he's actually putting it on the line. They criticized him for fighting Woodley. Like, Woodley was a world champion.
Yeah.
And in MMA, he had really good boxing. Like, yeah, he's not a boxer. Jake Paul also hasn't got anywhere near the amount of fights that Woodley had. People just hate because all hate comes from jealousy, especially when you're hating on someone who's not doing anything wrong, you know?
Totally. So you have a fight coming up when it's May?
May 17 in San Jose.
Yeah, what can you tell us about that?
I don't know who I'm fighting.
Okay, not much. Never mind.
Not much. It's Scott Coker's promotion, so Scott Coker was Strike Force and Bellator.
I love Fight Night Attack.
Yeah.
It's sick. Their production is
really good.
So awesome.
Really, really good. Now I'm just waiting for them to finally start streaming so that my family can watch, because they don't stream yet. It's not available online. I would love that. My family is in Australia, like, they're not coming to me. But no, I love fighting for Scott. Because it's funny, the first time I said I was going to retire from the UFC, Coach and I had been talking about, and I was like, I think I want to go fight for Bellator. Like, I'll go fight at 125 and I'll go beat up Lima Lay, and I'll go fight these guys. Because I wanted to fight for Scott, because Scott is like the first one who gave women a platform with Strikeforce. Obviously, everything happened the way it did, and that had been a bucket list thing. Fighting for Scott had been a bucket list thing that kind of got thrown out the window. I was like, okay, that's never going to happen, especially when he sold Bellator. And then this came up, and I'm not fighting MMA for him, but it is really cool to have the opportunity to fight for Scott, because that was a bucket list thing on my list of goals to accomplish. There have been a few, and so far I've hit every one. There's like one left, and that's the one I'm working on right now. But it was like, be in the UFC before I'm 30. I got signed 10 days before my 30th birthday. So I hit that one. Win Australian titles. I have 3 Australian titles. Win a world title. I have a Muay Thai world title. Fight for Scott. Fight MMA in Japan. I got to do that in 2015. Like I've fight at T-Mobile Arena was another one. I got to do that. Like I've hit all of them, you know. So it's been cool fighting for Scott. He puts on a great event and he really looks after all of us.
It's such a well-run event. If you're in like the Bay Area at all, go to one of these shows.
Yeah.
Because it's way more professional than I even expected.
Yeah.
And I expected a lot.
It is. Like there's a lot of events. Like I've caught it at PFL, I've caught it at Bellator, obviously I was in the UFC, and being in the UFC, like no one ever stacked up to how they treated you in fight week, how they treated you at weigh-ins, at fight night, on fight night, sorry. This one, and that was one of my fears with leaving the UFC. I go, fuck, like I'm going to go back to warming up in parking lots, you know. Fight night at the Tech feels like a much bigger show than what it is, you know, like they take care of us so well, and it feels like I'm on a much bigger event. Like it feels like I'm doing what I'm used to, and I don't. My first Muay Thai fight after the UFC, I did have to warm up in a car park, and I was like, God damn, is this what all my fights are gonna be like? Warming up outside, it sucks. But fight night feels like a much bigger event, especially that they've only had 2 so far. This is their 3rd one, and it feels like a much longer running, you know, show than what it is.
It's really well done.
Yeah. It's also cool that they're doing Muay Thai, kickboxing, and MMA. I want them to do boxing. I don't think he wants to do boxing. I keep hoping that he's going to call me one day and be like, Jessy, all right, we're going to do it. We're going to do boxing. But
do you know why he doesn't want to?
He's a kickboxer at heart. That's his love. Yeah. Right. So I just don't think boxing really interests him that much.
Well, that's awesome. I'm really excited to see your fight. Do you have any advice for anyone who is coming up and wants to be a fighter?
I think the hardest part is just going and doing it every day. So I think like you have to really be solid in your reason for why you want to do it, because it's such a taxing and stressful and physically, mentally, emotionally difficult thing to dedicate your days to, your weeks to, your career to, that if your reasons for doing it aren't that strong, or like if you're just doing it because you want to be able to tell people that you're a fighter, like you're going to get found out really quick. So I think just like whatever your reason is, and there really isn't any wrong reason for why you fight. I did have a coach one time tell me that my reasons for fighting were wrong. And that was one reason why I left that particular coach, because he asked me, he's like, why are you fighting? And I was like, because I love it. And he was like, no, that's not enough. Like, he's like, you had a hard life. I don't think I've had a hard life. Like, I tell people about my upbringing and they go, fuck, like, that must have been really hard. Like, no, I don't. My life was rad. You know what I mean? Like, growing up in a car and living in different communities was sick. Like, I don't have any issues with the way I was brought up. It's just non-traditional. But he would always be like, you got to, like, the pain you've been through, the hardship, like, you gotta lead on that, like that's gotta feed you. So I was like, fuck, like, do I need to be angry? And then so I had, I think, 2 fights where I was like forced myself to be angry. Like I would watch Mike Tyson videos and like kind of try to channel that energy, but it wasn't real, you know, it just wasn't. And then I left and I like spent some time by myself and I was like, no, I think it's okay to just love this. And once I realized that my initial reason, which was loving it, was enough for me, I started performing way better, you know? So I think like just find what your reason is and make that reason as strong as it can be, regardless of what it is. Like there is no wrong. Right? If you want to just be able to tell your friends that you're a fucking fighter, then commit to it 100%. Yeah. I believe in that 100%. Because if you're not solid on it, you're just putting yourself through so much stress and hardship for no fucking reason.
That's a great answer.
Thanks.
Yeah, again, thanks so much for I know how crazy your schedule must be, so I really
it's cool.
I'm glad we found a studio right next door. It was sick.
Literally, we're one block over. It took
That's
3
awesome.
minutes to get here.
Where can people find you?
Just everything is Miss Jessy Jess.
Miss Jessy Jess.
Yeah. Everything. Yeah.
I'll put it on the screen.
Yeah. Thanks.
And that is it for episode 2. Please go ahead and follow Miss Jessy Jess on all platforms. I will put her handle up on the screen, especially TikTok. She's posting a lot of great stories on there. I would definitely recommend following her there. And if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, I would highly recommend going in person to watch her fight at Fight Night at the Tech in May. I will definitely be there. It's going to be a great show. Now, if you liked this episode, I would really appreciate it if you subscribed, leave a review if you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, a comment goes a really long way, and you can follow me at It's Kennedy Louise on all platforms. And I'll see you guys on the next one. I have some really, really fun guests coming up.